I'm 65 and I avoid people. Now, here's why. Reaching this age brings profound changes to how we see life, relationships, and time itself. For years, I was the kind of person who always showed up for everyone, friends, family, neighbors, you name it. But over time, I realized that not every connection is worth the energy it takes to maintain. At 65, I found that stepping back from certain relationships isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about protecting my peace, valuing my time, and focusing on what truly matters. In this video, I'll share the life lessons that led me to this decision, from the way time feels more precious as we age to how relationships naturally change, and even why solitude has become a source of joy rather than loneliness. If this resonates with you or even challenges your perspective, you're in the right place. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Candle of Wisdom channel. Together, we'll explore how embracing these truths can lead to a simpler, more fulfilling life. Let's get started. One time feels more precious. Time than ever. At 65, one thing becomes crystal clear. Time is no longer infinite. When we were younger, it felt like we had all the time in the world. We'd waste hours on meaningless conversations, relationships that didn't fulfill us, or obligations we took on out of guilt. But now every moment feels like a gift, and it's not something I'm willing to squander anymore. This shift doesn't come from fear. It comes from wisdom. Time isn't just enough number on a clock anymore. It's the foundation of how I choose to live my life. Every sunrise feels more vibrant. Every conversation with someone I truly care about feels deeper. Even the quiet moments, like sipping my coffee or walking in the park, hold a significance I never noticed before. I've learned that not everything and everyone deserves a slice of my time. This isn't selfish. It's practical. As we grow older, it's essential to step back and ask, is this worth my energy? Does it bring me joy? Does it align with my values? If the answer is no, I let it go, because the truth is, time spent on things that don't matter is time stolen from the things that do. One way I've embraced this perspective is by simplifying my relationships. I no longer say yes to every invitation or engage in shallow conversations just to be polite. Instead, I seek out connections that feel real, where I can be myself and where the other person values my time as much as I do. A meaningful conversation over tea beats a crowded gathering where I feel invisible every single time. This isn't about isolating myself. It's about honoring my life. I've started to see time as a trusted companion. It reminds me to slow down and savor the moments I once rushed through it. It tells me to choose wisely, because every choice has weight, and it reassures me that it's okay to let go of what no longer serves me. If you're finding yourself with similar thoughts, I want you to know you're not alone. There's no rule book for how to spend your time in this stage of life. But here's what I've discovered. Focus on what matters. Time isn't about how much you have left. It's about what you do with it. Protect it fiercely. Fill it with purpose, peace, and people who truly uplift you, because once you start treating time as the treasure it is, your entire life shifts into something more. Relationships meaningful. Two relationships change, and so do we as the years pass. Relationships evolve, and so do we. At 65, I've come to accept a hard truth. Not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime, and that's okay. It's not a sign of failure. It's just life moving forward. When I was younger, I believed relationships required constant effort to maintain. I remembered every birthday attended, every gathering, and reached out even when I felt drained. I thought being there for everyone made me a good friend, neighbor, or family member, but over time, I realized something. Not all relationships are equal. Some nurture you, while others deplete you. This shift didn't happen overnight. It came through years of experience, some wonderful, some painful. I've been hurt by people I trusted, disappointed by those I are on, and even distanced from family members whose paths simply grew apart from mine for a long time. I took these losses personally. I wondered, what did I do wrong? Could I have tried harder? But now I see things differently. People change. I've changed. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let go. One of the most liberating lessons I've learned is to focus on ships that feel mutual. A healthy relationship isn't one where you give endlessly without receiving. In return, it's about balance. Does this person support you as much as you support them? Do they listen as much as they speak? Do they bring light into your life or take it away? As I've grown older, my circle of connections has naturally grown smaller, but what's left is richer, more meaningful. The friends and family who remain in my life now are the ones who truly matter, the ones who understand me. Accept me and bring joy into my days. I no longer waste energy trying to hold on to connections that don't align with who I am today. This doesn't mean there aren't moments of nostalgia. Sometimes I think about friends I've lost touch with or family members whose lives have taken different directions. But instead of regret, I feel gratitude. Those relationships shaped me, taught me lessons, and gave me memories I'll always cherish. They were part of my journey, even if they aren't part of my present. So here's my advice. Don't hold on out of guilt or obligation. Relationships, like life, are meant to evolve. Focus on the ones that bring you peace and let go of those that don't. By doing so, you'll find yourself surrounded by love, authenticity, and the kind of connections that truly make life worth living. 3, trust. Trust becomes more complex. Trust is one of the most fragile yet vital aspects of any relationship. At 65, I've realized that trust isn't something to give lightly anymore. It's a precious bond. And when it's broken, it leaves scars that take time, sometimes a lifetime, to heal. In my younger years, I trusted easily. I believed in the goodness of people and their intentions. I gave my heart, my time, and my loyalty freely. And while this openness led to many beautiful relationships, it also brought its fair share of heartbreak over the years. I've been let down by people I never thought would hurt me. A friend who valued what I could do for them more than who I was, a family member whose choices created distance between us, and even a colleague who prioritized their gain over our shared vision. These experiences changed how I approached trust. They didn't make me bitter, but they did make me careful. Now, when someone new enters my life, my first thought isn't, how can I connect with this person? But rather, what are their motives? It's not an easy way to live, but it's necessary. And yet, I've come to understand that trust isn't just about others. It's about trusting yourself. 2, learning to trust my instincts has been one of the most important lessons of my life. If something doesn't feel right, I no longer dismiss it as paranoia or overthinking. I've walked away from relationships that felt toxic, no matter how long they'd been part of my life. I've learned that protecting my peace is worth the difficult decision to let go. That said, trust is still possible. It's just different. Now, there are moments when people surprise me in the best way. A kind stranger who goes out of their way to help a neighbor who checks in during bad weather. These small, genuine gestures remind me that trust, while delicate, is not impossible. To rebuild, the key is balance. It's about setting boundaries, not walls, and giving trust gradually to those who earn it over time. It's about keeping your circle small and surrounding yourself with people who show consistency, kindness, and respect. So if you found yourself more guarded as you age, know that it's okay. Protecting your trust is a form of self-care. It doesn't mean you're closing yourself off. It means you're valuing yourself enough to be selective. And in this stage of life, that's exactly how it should be. Simplicity 4. The world has changed at 65. It's impossible not to notice how much the world has transformed. Life feels faster, busier, and more tech-driven than ever before. Yet for all the progress and convenience, something valuable seems to have been left behind: a sense of warmth, simplicity, and connection. I grew up in a time when relationships felt genuine. Neighbors weren't just people who lived nearby. They were friends. We'd visit each other without needing an invitation. Sharing coffee stories and laughter, families gathered regularly. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Time spent together felt natural and meaningful. Now things are different. People are so busy chasing success, managing endless to-do lists, and keeping up with the fast pace of modern life. Conversations, once heartfelt and deep, have become brief and rushed, squeezed into moments between notifications and distractions. Even family time feels more strained often, limited by physical distance and competing demands. Technology, while a blessing in many ways, has played a role in this change. I appreciate being able to video call my grandchildren or reconnect with an old friend through social media. These tools make life easier, but they also create barriers. Nothing replaces the experience of sitting across from someone, feeling their presence, and hearing their voice unfiltered by a screen. Sometimes I miss the ease of simply being together without the interruptions of modern life. The constant hum of technology can also feel overwhelming. Notifications, updates, and endless news make the world seem louder than ever. Paradoxically, even with all this connectivity, many of us feel more isolated. It's a strange reality that we have so many ways to stay in touch, yet genuine connections often feel harder to come by. This isn't about resisting change or longing for the past. Every era has its challenges and every generation adapts. But at 65, I find myself valuing simplicity more than ever. I choose to step away from the noise and focus on what truly matters. Heartfelt conversations, meaningful relationships, and the quiet joy of shared moments. If you feel the same, it's okay to slow down. It's not about rejecting modern life. It's about choosing where to place your energy. By stepping back from the rush, we can protect the parts of life that feel authentic and real. In a fast-moving world, seeking simplicity isn't about giving up. It's about holding on to what matters most. 5. Solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness are two entirely different things, and this realization has been one of the most freeing lessons of my life. Loneliness is an ache, a feeling of emptiness that comes from longing for connection. Solitude, however, is a choice, a space for peace, reflection, and renewal. It's not something to fear. It's something to embrace in solitude. I found clarity that's hard to achieve in the rush of daily life. There's a profound beauty in simple, quiet moments, sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, listening to the wind rustle through the trees, or watching the sun sink slowly below the horizon. These experiences don't just pass the time, they enrich it, reminding me of the small joys life has to offer. Reflecting on the past has also become a source of comfort during these quiet moments. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or missed opportunities, I focus on the lessons I've learned and the memories that bring me happiness. Solitude offers a space to look inward and make peace with the life I've lived, finding gratitude for the person I've become. That's not to say I've withdrawn from people. On the contrary, solitude has helped me appreciate my relationships even more. It's allowed me to focus on meaningful connections instead of maintaining relationships out of obligation or habit. When I spend time with loved ones, I'm present and engaged, savoring the moments we share. Solitude has also taught me to value myself. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that being surrounded by people defines your worth. But the truth is, your value doesn't come from the size of your social circle or the number of events on your calendar. It comes from within, from knowing who you are and what truly matters to you. If you've ever feared being alone, I encourage you to rethink that perspective. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's a chance to hear your own thoughts, to focus on what brings you peace, and to reconnect with yourself. The more you embrace it, the more you'll realize it's a source of strength and clarity in the quiet of solitude. You can find balance and joy. You can let go of distractions and pressures, focusing instead on the life you want to live. It's not about isolation. It's about intention. And in those moments of stillness, you may discover a deeper sense of fulfillment than you ever thought possible. 6. Why I avoid people now. Why I avoid people avoiding people. People isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about protecting my peace. Over the year, I've learned that not every connection is worth maintaining, and not every social obligation deserves my time or energy. This realization didn't come easily, but it has been one of the most important lessons of my life. For much of my younger years, I believed in always being available. I wanted to be the person others could count on, the reliable friend, the helpful neighbor, the supportive family member. And while that brought me joy for a time, it also left me drained. I gave too much of myself to relationships that weren't mutual and situations that didn't align with my values. Life has a way of teaching us where to draw the line. Even if it takes decades, I've experienced moments where my kindness was taken for granted or my time was treated as if it had no value. I ignored red flags, thinking loyalty meant staying even when it chipped away at my happiness, but now I see things differently. I understand that avoiding certain people isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. There's peace in stepping away from toxic relationships and letting go of obligations that no longer serve me. I've traded the noise of constant social interactions for the quiet joy of meaningful solitude. Instead of stretching myself thin, trying to please everyone, I focus on a smaller, deeper circle of relationships, connections that bring light and fulfillment to my life. This doesn't mean I've shut myself off completely. The people who remain in my life are there because they genuinely care, not because they expect something from me. These relationships are rooted in mutual respect and understanding, and they feel effortless in the best way possible. There's no drama, no competition, just genuine connection. I also avoid people who bring negativity into my life. Those who thrive on drama, constantly complain, or never ask how I'm doing. They no longer have space in my world. I've learned to prioritize my own well-being, even if that means saying no more often or choosing solitude over company. Avoiding people doesn't mean giving up on humanity. It means valuing myself enough to protect my peace. It's about choosing relationships that uplift, not drain, and seeking moments that truly matter. Life is too short to waste on what doesn't bring joy, and in making this choice, voice, I found a sense of freedom and happiness I didn't know was possible. 7, is this a shared? Is this a shared experience? Have you ever found yourself wondering, am I the only one who feels this way? As I've grown older, I've asked myself that question many times, especially as I've become more selective about the people I let into my life. But the more I talk to others around my age, the more I realize this isn't just my story. It's a shared experience. Life has a way of teaching us hard but valuable lessons about relationships, priorities, and self-worth for decades. I tried to meet everyone's expectations. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the supportive family member, the neighbor who always showed up. But at some point, I realized the cost I was pouring so much into others that I had little left for myself. As I've spoken with friends and peers, I've discovered a similar theme in their lives. Many of us reach a point where we no longer feel the need to be everything to everyone. We start choosing quality over quantity in relationships. The superficial connections that might have seemed important in our younger years lose their appeal. What we crave now are meaningful conversations, shared laughter, and relationships that feel genuine. This shift isn't easy. Sometimes it feels like letting go of parts of yourself, saying no to people who once relied on. You can feel selfish, but it's not. It's self-preservation. The truth is, we can't be everything for everyone. And trying to do so only leaves us drained and resentful by stepping back. We create space for relationships that nourish us instead of depleting us. And here's the thing, you're not alone in this. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond are making the same choices. It's not about pushing people away. It's about finding peace and clarity. It's about prioritizing your well-being and focusing on what truly matters. If you've noticed yourself pulling back from relationships that no longer serve you, it's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're growing, evolving, and learning to value your time and energy. Letting go of what doesn't bring you. Joy opens the door for deeper, more meaningful connections. This stage of life isn't about how many people you have in your corner. It's about the quality of those connections. And if this resonates with you, take comfort in knowing that you're not alone together. We're learning how to embrace a life that's simpler, more fulfilling, and unapologetically. Embracing this chapter, authentic. 8. Embracing this chapter of life. Life isn't about endings, it's about beginnings. Every chapter brings its own lessons, challenges, and joys at 65. I found that this stage of life is less about proving myself to others and more about embracing who I've become. It's about letting go of what no longer serves me and focusing on what truly matters. There's a certain freedom that comes with this realization. When we're younger, we often live with urgency, always rushing to achieve, to do more, to meet expectations. We're driven by the belief that the future holds endless possibilities, so we keep chasing. But as time goes on, we begin to understand that the present is what truly matters. This chapter of life is about simplicity. It's about finding joy in the little things, watching the morning sunlight stream through the window, sharing laughter with loved ones, or enjoying the quiet comfort of a favorite chair. These moments may seem small, but they hold a depth that's hard to describe. They remind us that life's treasures are often found in its simplest pleasures. It's also a time for reflection. Looking back, I see my life as a tapestry of experiences, some beautiful, some painful, all meaningful. Every triumph, every mistake, every heartbreak has shaped me into the person I am. Today, reflection allows me to honor those experiences without clinging to them. It's not about living in the past. It's about appreciating the lessons it has given me. But this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's also about looking forward. There's a quiet excitement in knowing that there's still time to create, to learn, and to grow. Whether it's trying a new hobby, nurturing a garden, or simply taking the time to appreciate the present, this stage of life offers its own unique possibilities. What makes this chapter truly beautiful is the freedom it brings. It's the freedom to say no to things that drain us, and yes to what brings us peace. It's the courage to live authentically without fear of judgment or the pressure to meet others' expectations. And it's the realization that simply being is enough if you're in this stage of life. I encourage you to embrace it fully. Let go of the noise and the rush and focus on the things that bring you joy. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. Sometimes the most peaceful and fulfilling moments come when we stop chasing and start appreciating. This chapter is ours to write, so let's make it one of simplicity, gratitude, and genuine happiness. In closing, avoiding people. At closing, this stage of life isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting the peace we've worked so hard to find. Life at 65 is a chance to focus on what truly matters. Meaningful relationships, moments of joy, and a sense of inner calm. It's not about bitterness or regret. It's about living intentionally. This chapter is a time to let go of toxic connections, unnecessary obligations, and the pressure to meet others' expectations. Instead, it's about embracing simplicity, authenticity, and gratitude. The journey has been filled with lessons, some painful but all valuable, leading to a place of clarity and fulfillment. If you've been feeling the same, remember that it's okay to choose peace over chaos. It's okay to prioritize yourself. Life's true richness comes from the quality of your days, not the quantity of your commitments. Let this be the chapter where you live boldly, love deeply, and savor every moment.